Yeah, thanks for joining us, Jesse.
Are you ready?
Are you kidding me? That's what?
Yeah, every so often it happens that Ryan is right.
100% right. Not even a little bit right.
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man!
Hey, neither does me running shirtless, but that turned out very well.
Welcome to the PP1 podcast.
Oh, we're back. We're back. We got a little bit of a new look today. I was going based on Air Max Day yesterday. If you're a Nike Air Max people out there, these look like my Nike golf cleats that Nike was so gracious to give me. Ted knows what I'm talking about.
Are they the Air Max cleats too?
They're sick, man. No, they're not like cleats. They're just like they got like a ridge at the very front, and they're more of a Shelly type shoe, like a golf shoe.
Right.
But
Shelly shoe. Gotcha.
Yeah, I could wear them in like the mall or something like that. Probably wouldn't, but welcome everybody to the PP1 podcast. It is the best Canucks podcast because nobody's bothered to challenge us on that yet. Whether it's true or not, we're not going to ask you to look into the statistics because we don't do that a whole lot. We are brought to you on the Hockey Podcast Network, a menagerie of hockey shows. A few Canucks ones, a few Leafs ones. Hey, there's some Kings ones out there. But definitely us, definitely the PP1 podcast. And we're also presented in concert with DraftKings, promo code THPN. We're going to get to that a little bit later on the podcast version. But first and foremost, we're going to welcome, and I'm going to say this because I believe this is going to happen, and I'm going to speak it into existence. We are welcoming new friend to the show, Jesse Cohen from a little podcast. I have followed their Twitter account anyway. I'm not going to lie, I haven't heard the podcast itself, but I followed your account. All the Kings Men podcast. Jesse is with the Los Angeles Kings, and you're thinking, Ryan, why would a Canuck show have a Kings guy on your show? Because we like chaos, and it's fun. And they've won championships in the NHL, and we'd really like to know what that's like.
And
Jesse,
maybe you could share with us how we do that. That would be great.
Yeah, if there's like a foolproof way. Jesse, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I do want to quibble with you. I don't know this for a fact because it would have been somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 years ago. But the fact that you and I already followed each other on Twitter suggests to me that we did some sort of collab a long time ago, because back before I worked for the team, I had built up a Rolodex. Rolodex, for those of you too young to know, is a physical version of a contacts list on your phone.
Yeah,
I had built up a Rolodex full of contacts from other teams who were also independently covering other teams. So I feel like we must have collaborated on something.
I don't think we did, but I think there's probably clever tweets going back and forth.
Probably.
And I think that's really how most of these things go. Like Yari the Hut started following our account finally, and we had a good little banter before the show on I may have lied on our show about, that we're, two fan bases, the Kings and the Canucks, both have won multiple Stanley Cups. And then apparently a good friend of the show, Dan Mackles, decided that that was a lie. And you know what? Prove it, Dan. You can't. It's the internet. Everything's true. If I say it, it's possible. Jesse, you're telling me yesterday, like, you're with the King. So maybe explain to the people that don't know you what you're all about.
So I was a Kings fan growing up. My dad had split season tickets with his best friend back in the days of the Great Western Forum. We sat in section 12, row 9, seats 1 and 2. Then once the team moved to then Staples Center, we moved into section 320. I began doing a podcast following the LA Kings in 2007, before the advent of smartphones, right before the introduction of smartphones.
When Rolodexes were still big.
That's right. Correct. The first phone I think I downloaded all the Kings Men onto was a Sony flip phone.
Ericsson.
Yes, a WI-30, I think it was.
WI-30. Yeah, just using the T9.
Hashtag millennials out here.
Yeah. So then I did that for a few years. Quit the first version of the show in 2011, shortly after Terry Murray was fired. for reasons I won't get into. Very quickly after that, Daryl Sutter was hired. The team started to turn around, and I decided that I missed doing it, so I started All the King's Men. Gave it a new name.
Clever name, by the way.
Thank you. I'm very fond of it all these years later. Teamed up with the Royal Half, who I owe a great deal to, because he ran his little, or I shouldn't say ran, as I still mean to be dismissive. The Royal Half was a great website, and at its peak, we had about 13 of us writing for it, and we're all still friends to this day, and we all stay in contact. And
I love that. That's
Royal
awesome.
Half did an excellent job of promoting people who did good work for the Royal Half, and I would encourage anybody who wants to get involved in any kind of independent coverage of a team, find people who will promote you for doing good work. Don't align yourself with people who will.
The Canucks Army of LA, basically.
Yes, and I think the Royal Half actually was part of the Army Nation.
I believe that to be true.
For a brief period of time. Then at some point, I want to say the start of the 14-15 season, the LA Kings reached out to me and said, would you like to be the official podcast of the LA Kings? And I said, of course I would. And then a few years after that, I became an employee of the team. And here I am today.
That is wild. Now, we chatted last night. I know you were saying you weren't there when they won their Stanley Cups.
Came on board officially just after.
So do you know where they keep the extra ones?
I'm not sure there are extra ones.
No, there's got to be.
I am always stunned when I see one out in the world on somebody's finger, and I think, well, that's not right. And then I wonder if it's because they sold replicas, or they gave away replicas.
Yeah,
I have 2 replicas, but they're not. I mean, they're worth whatever I can get for them on eBay. They're not diamonds.
They're just regular awesome, not like all the way awesome.
Man, I would own 2 if the Canucks.
I mean, they're a giveaway from a game.
I got to clone a Rockets gold one from when they won the.
But like, we had an engineer fill in for us the other night because our regular engineer was out, and he had one on his finger, and the whole night I was eyeballing it, going like, now was that one that was given away? But the ones that were giveaways weren't fitted, right? They were just one size fits all. And
yeah, like remember when the Red Sox won it, like their first championship, whatever. And like, if you like lived in Boston from like, the beginning of time until the time they won, like you get a ring. You like
everybody got a ring. Yeah,
every single like person, sports personality. Like, hey, did you live in Boston as a sports media member of something? Like, you're getting a ring today. Like, everyone got one. So I feel you out. Like, that's
and there's like levels that you can buy. If you are a team employee, from what I'm told, I don't know if this is true or not, but like the players get the really, the super fancy ones.
The ring.
But then if you're a team employee, there's like secondary and tertiary levels. You can have, some of your paycheck set aside for the next 30 years.
He just said tertiary, and I love that word.
It's one of my favorite words.
Yeah, it's very underrated word. Yeah,
man. We may need a third host at some point, and I don't even care if they don't like the Canucks. This is great. You also are a huge fan of Ryan Kesler, so much to the point that you wrote a few little tweets about Ryan.
Yeah, I've never actually counted how many of those I got.
Oh man, I was going through. I'm like, holy crap, there's a ton here. Like, I had to stop reading. I'm like, I can't anymore. So maybe tell again. These are all awesome things. Ted, I'm going to send you a link to this here.
Okay, let's have it.
Just a second.
Yeah, to be clear, Ryan Kesler blocked me on Twitter because of that.
So they're all like very cutesy poems about Ryan Kesler, and I said,
inspired by Dr. Seuss, I'd like to think.
Oh, okay. I mean, who can't get on board with that?
There's just something about I'm like, you know what? I hate this team so much. Like
he went from the Canucks to the Ducks, so
yeah.
Rival.
I mean, we have a shared hate. Like, it's funny. Like, come playoff time, like Kings and Canucks have had some pretty good series over time. Kings and Canucks
have they though?
I think so. I mean, they haven't been like,
it's been like, as long as I can remember, it's just been like mostly beatdowns.
No way. That was it. The 09 series,
big record-breaking goals.
Yeah, you guys beat us in 10, I think.
Yeah,
right?
that was a crazy series. Like, there's been some good hate, like Jonathan Quick. Those are like the Dustin Brown. Like, there's been some good series. Doesn't mean you have to like them. Like, they were pretty heated. Like, you're thinking, geez,
what a wild time that was too.
They
right?
need to beat these guys.
There was this time. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in there. Ted, apologize. when the Canucks were very, very good from whatever it was, 2008 to 2013-ish, we would see all the time when the Canucks came to LA to play the Kings, Canucks fans invaded Southern California. The building was packed. I could never figure it out. And finally, the Royal Half and I at a game one day just approached a bunch of Canucks fans and said, what do you, are you transplants? Like, it's one thing if it's Chicago, Detroit, or New York, where a ton of those people move to LA to pursue careers in the industry. And by the industry, I mean the business. But, Vancouver seems like such an odd town for there to be a huge number of transplants from. And they said, no, it's cheaper for us to fly to Southern California for a weekend, take in 2 Canucks games, Kings and Ducks,
Disneyland,
then hotel Disney, like have a nice weekend.
I've done it.
Cheaper to do all that than to buy 2 lower bowl tickets to a Canucks game.
It was.
Is that still true?
That's exactly the point that I was going to mention. It was like a crazy time back then for the fact that the dollar was more favorable for us to travel. And the fact that Kings tickets from anybody that I talked to were really on the affordable end of things. Yeah. Right. And at the time it was like the most expensive, like highest level ticket that you could buy was a Canucks ticket during.
You want me to really piss you off?
This is what we're here for.
It's very normal for us.
Go ahead and guess how much my first row upper bowl seats were for game 3 of the 2012 Stanley Cup final.
Okay,
face value for season ticket members.
What should they be?
Is that right above the 3 levels of boxes?
Yes.
Oh man, like you couldn't pay me to sit up there.
Those honestly value wise, first row upper level of Crypto.com Arena, best value. I believe in sports.
Okay, Stanley Cup Game 3.
Yeah.
Ted, you go first.
I feel like should be $380. You probably paid like, I don't know. I'm going to say like 120.
I'm going to say, did you just say lower?
Yes, I did.
I was going to say like 4, but okay, well, $80.
It was like $15 and you got a beer and a dog.
It was $90. Now, ticket prices have gone up since then, but that's
awesome.
Where we were in 2012.
$75 each. Oh man. Like, I mean, Ted, I was living down in Vancouver when our famed Canucks were absolutely just destroying the rest of the NHL. The Sedin years, Kessler, Burroughs, Luongo. And I mean, the only time we got to see like a good game was usually through work because we couldn't afford to go otherwise or win tickets or something like that. And yeah, realistically, like if we got in, like, because it was just all aftermarket because the season ticket base was just stupid and the reseller market became something. But like to get in, yeah, you were looking at like a couple $100 to go to a Canucks game, like just to get in the door usually.
Now, if it makes you feel any better, game 6, secondary market was 4 digits. So if that makes you feel any better.
I mean, they were getting close to
Wasn't there like a thing all through those playoffs too when you guys were like going through it on your like tear to the cup? There was like some model or porn star or something like that was like sitting
in
behind
Arizona.
the bench. Was it in Zona? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember that being like a crazy thing. It was like our version of the Green Men.
That's an interesting thing to bring up, Ted.
Yeah.
I don't know why you remember that.
No, there's some great screenshots.
You remember what you remember.
That's true.
Was DeBoer the coach of Arizona at the time? I think it was DeBoer.
Well, probably.
maybe,
There's some great screenshots of him like with the young woman in question right behind him. And
God bless hockey.
Yeah, no, it's great. That was 2012 was a lot of fun.
Man, I like that run because I think the Canucks were the only one. Because did they lose once or twice? I can't remember. In 2012,
once.
Yeah,
and
it was
5-1 or 4-1. Excuse me. 4-1.
Yeah, and that was the Daniel Sedin game when he came back, and we're like, we're still gonna lose. I mean, that was one of the most, if not, and I mean, we can say this because the Canucks have never won, but that was probably, as far as I can remember, the most epic run to a stand. Like they were an absolute juggernaut, and it sucked because you're like, these guys aren't going to lose, and then they just didn't. Like It was crazy.
I remember, I think it must have been game 4 against St. Louis, driving to the game from my dad's house and having the conversation of like, this is going to happen, right? And at that point, it was 4-game series against Vancouver. The Kings were up 3-0 against St. Louis. And we were just like, this is real. Like, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves in the middle of the second round. But this has to happen, right? Like, and you won't find 2 more stereotypically pessimistic Kings fans than me and my dad. And so
He fits in here, Ted. Like he's one of us, I think.
listen, when the Kings were in their slide in December and January of this year, people would ask me, what the worst case scenario is or whatever. And I had to have my public persona of like, listen, things can turn around. This will be all, resolved in April. We have to wait till the off season, blah, blah, blah. But privately, my darkest timeline was darker than you could possibly imagine. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And now here we are steaming towards playoffs. Kings look good.
Exactly. Well, now I believe they're cup contenders again. So.
Yeah. Looks like they got their mojo back there. They're running the 1-3-1 and it works for them. They're a heavy team. They're well coached.
How much time do I need to build into my night for you guys to cry about the 1-3-1, by the way? Because I've spent a lot of time today.
We ran it
on it, but
we ran it. I remember it was like a couple of years before we went on the cup run in 11. There was a really not a bad hockey team. It was a different hockey team that was here before that. And that team ran the 1-3-1 and they ran it all the way to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's just like, I wouldn't say necessarily like you guys it's a talented team over there, I feel like, but it's well coached. 1-3-1 wins you games. Maybe it's not the most exciting things, but like if I'm a Kings fan, like, do I give two shits at all if my team's winning? Like,
I do not.
You just want to see your team win, man. I'm with you on that. I don't really care how like boring the hockey is. You just want to see wins, and as we march towards the playoffs. I think you guys match up so well against a number of different teams. Do you have a team that you want to play as you head into the first round?
No. And
everything in the West is a cakewalk right now.
Well, the reason I'm so emphatic about not wanting one is that in 2018, I was very loud about. Yeah, let's take Vegas in the first round. That'll be fun. Like, just be part of the story. Like, it'll be exciting. New team, the great fan base, great experience. Like, let's do that. Let's do Vegas. I think we can beat them and it'll be great. And then we got curb stomped. And so, lesson learned.
We all hate Vegas.
Good. They're a very hateable group.
We all hate Vegas.
But for whoever we play is whoever we play. I'm not asking for anything.
So I'm going to get into some housekeeping stuff because it's not going to all be about the Kings. This is a Canucks show, Jesse. Jeez. All right. Stop bragging about this team that's won multiple Stanley Cups in the last 10 years. Jeez. So a couple
has
things.
Won the cup multiple times. There's only one.
Yeah.
There's three of them, but there's only one, really.
I mean, technically a Vancouver franchise. No, we're not going to get into that.
What a correcty pants. Jeez.
I know. So a couple things, Ted. I don't know if you've seen this, but these are going to be fun things we may talk about later in the summer. Baseball announced the newest minor league team, the Malmo Oat Milkers. I'm going to need a hat is what I'm basically trying to say, because they found a way to get past a cow, and now it's about oat and milking oats. So very excited about that. New minor league baseball team. How do you guys feel about the name?
The Oat Milkers.
That's right.
I don't know. I guess, and it's where, Malmo?
Malmo, yeah.
I thought Malmo was like in Sweden.
Or maybe, I don't know. And then maybe Alf could be the like alternate logo. That's Malmac. Never mind.
Melmac is where Alf is from.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. That's maybe they'll do an alternate one. So that's one thing.
The Malmac cat eaters.
That's true. See, I like where your head's at. This kind of fits into LA as well as Canada. Tom Green has a documentary coming out. So he was tweeting out like, what are some of your favorite sketches things? I said the dead raccoon with the cell phone in it. I thought was one of the best sketches because I honestly like it. Any real normal person.
In the final evaluation, is Tom Green better for humanity or worse for humanity?
That's a tough one.
Because of the precedent he set and the amount of people on social media who are essentially just doing bad Tom Green impressions.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's
so then we could say safely that he shaped a generation.
Listen, the fact that there's still discourse about Freddie got fingered in the year of our Lord 2024 is
where's my what was it not the Saber, what was that freaking where's my I'm gonna forget now.
Check the OR. You like it so far?
I do. I was gonna talk about capitalism, but like I was just
wrong network. Network.
I was just stage or just regular.
I was just like, and by that I mean like, do you guys write in all capitals? Because I do. That was kind of what I was getting at.
Only when I'm yelling.
Oh, okay. I just write in all capitals now. My dad's done it, and I've taken over that. It's
Oh, you mean hand like right, like on a
Right,
yeah.
all
I'm an all
Yes,
caps writer.
when I write, it's in all capitals.
Same.
yeah. So yeah, actual capitalism. Come on, just read the room. Jeez, read
But
the
can
room.
I once again interrupt? For years, back when Crypto.com Arena was called Staples Center,
That's true.
when I typed out Staples Center, I capitalized Staples and didn't capitalize Center because that's how it appears in their corporate communications. And
That was easy.
So I don't know.
Look at this. This is a good. How many?
The reason that I have to explain that, sorry to continue to take over your show. So the last time the Kings and the Canucks played at Crypto.com Arena, I think it was a home game. Maybe it was a road game. No, I guess it doesn't matter.
If it was at Crypto, then it would be a home game for the Kings.
So I host the post-game radio show for the LA Kings, and occasionally I do trivia questions to give out free tickets. And I had a bunch of tickets that I hadn't given out. So the trivia question for anybody that called in was, how have the Vancouver Canucks ever won the Stanley Cup? So anybody could just call in and say no, and they'd get free tickets to a game.
You still giving away some? Do you give away?
I've given away. I've
give away airfare with those tickets by any chance?
No. But if you guys pay for the airfare in the hotel, I will get you to a game.
Oh wow! So I mean, that's a deal, Ted.
Okay. It's live. It's written in stone.
Exactly. I'm going to do that. Final thing. So we've decided the t-shirt reveal is here after many discussions. We're going to reveal this one. I think we're in consensus on this. It's tough because this is like we said before the show, like, who's your favorite child? But we do like the spunky one that gets into trouble a lot. So that is the one we are going to be putting on a t-shirt. Now, that being said, Ted's going to be like, no, what are you doing?
That's not the one I wanted.
That's not the one we talked about. We are going to have this one available in a very, very different way.
That's the one I voted for.
Reading the comments in the chat here is just hilarious.
So we're going to have, technically both will be available. We're going to do for the playoffs. So if you guys want one, I'm going to make them available. So there's another Canucks podcast out there that's selling them t-shirts for way too expensive. $30. $30. I got a good quality one. They've got two options. We'll decide on the final.
It's only like $22 for Jesse.
We're going to charge him extra because he's taking some of the Canucks too much.
I'll trade you one of my hats for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
great.
that works. I think that's a good cross promotion. So yeah, $30. British Columbians, we'll find a way. I'll make sure that's the cheapest possible way to get something, to your door. We're gonna make it happen. So let's get those orders in. PP1 Podcast playoff shirt. Who knows? Imagine you had a T-shirt of the year the Vancouver Canucks won the Stanley Cup. I don't care if people say I'm jinxing it. It needs to happen at some point, so we might as well speak it into existence. Jesse Cohen is a BAMF. He is. I agree. Look at this. Kings people are even saying, you know what? If someone paid me to do it, I would make a King shirt. I don't mind. I like making merch. So we've got the Tom Green thing, capitalism we talked about. Daniel Wagner, this is the final promotion thing. Ted, did you see this book came out yesterday? Daniel Wagner's The Canucks at the Draft, it's called.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It just tons of draft stories.
Does that pass it to Boulis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Daniel's a great guy. His book came out yesterday. It is officially published. Local people, I suggest getting it at Mosaic Books because they're also local. I don't know where you get in Vancouver that isn't Indigo, but it's available online, I believe, as well. So go buy it. Support Daniel. It'll be a book I will have likely read definitely by the time the draft happens because, it's the Canucks. Let's just make that happen. So there's tons of great draft stories. The Pavel Bure thing obviously comes to mind. So there's some good stuff in there. Cody Hodgson, talking about Cody Hodgson, there's going to be some good stories. We're going to enjoy that. Yeah. So make sure we all get on board with that. So let's talk about the playoffs. So right now, as things are looking, the LA Kings and the Vancouver Canucks are not quite on a collision course with each other, but they're one track away from numb on board. So that would be a collision course reference in case anybody missed it. Ted, did you miss that? Numb on
Yeah,
board.
definitely missed it.
Yeah. So
I'm still on Rolodex.
We're still there. It's like I'm still in the first minute of the show. the LA Kings, I've been looking and I've been doing some homework before the show. Unfortunately, they're a fancy stat darling going into the final month of the NHL, which really sucks if you're a Canucks fan, because they're doing all the important things, all the stuff that isn't in your local newspaper, correct. So they're only, a point back or 2 points back of Vegas, I think, right now. And there's a chance that the Vancouver Canucks and the LA Kings will once again meet in the playoffs. So coming from a fan that has cheered on 2 Stanley Cup champions, like, how does that make you feel, Jesse?
The prospect of playing the Canucks in the first round?
Yeah, let's hash it out.
I think it's probably the most desirable matchup amongst Kings fans, from what I see people saying.
Oh, that's fun.
I think everybody is rightly terrified of Edmonton. Just
we can all agree on that.
You know, they've and we've lost to them the last 2 seasons in a row. For the record, I feel comfortable saying we because I'm a team employee. Otherwise, I would.
Yeah, you can say that. We'll allow it.
I try not to, but every now and then. The Central Division is equally terrifying. Dallas has our number. Seems like every time we play them, it's just not even a game, right? They just come away with a 4-1 win. Colorado is very good, obviously.
Also terrifying.
Yeah, and Winnipeg has too many former Kings on the roster for me to want any piece of that in the playoffs.
But the nice thing is they knock all each other out. Like, the nice thing is the Canucks have to face someone. LA's got to face someone. Edmonton's Colorado. So, like,
you get Nashville, hottest team in the league right now.
Like, yeah, I don't think we can wind up playing Nashville in the first round, though, because they're a.
Yeah, sorry, just the Western in general. Like, it seems like every team that's going to be there. There's no cakewalk there. It's
just sort of, slotting through the teams that could play the Kings in the first round. I think Vancouver, just based on success against them this season.
Oh, yeah.
Matchup, whatever. I think Kings fans most generally would prefer the Canucks. I enjoy seeing those black jerseys with the red, orange, and yellow skate on them.
Dude, he's one of us, man. I'm telling you.
And the matte black helmets are fantastic.
Leave LA, come to British Columbia. He's one of us, man. Sure.
So I like that.
So
there is just part of me going all the way back to 92, 93 that would just enjoy an opportunity to beat Vancouver. Again, like, the LA-Vancouver relationship for me is an interesting one, because if Vancouver were to win, I wouldn't take it personally. It wouldn't hurt my feelings. But if the Kings were to defeat Vancouver, I would be an insufferable prick about it, right? Like, I would act as if it would have hurt my feelings had we lost.
That's how the thing works. Now, I have kind of hate towards those earlier Kings, because when I was a young boy, and my very first Canucks
Did your father take you to the city?
When he was a young warthog.
He took me to the city, yeah. Some about the Black
to see a marching band, yeah.
Yeah. So I got Kings Canucks tickets and Canucks Leafs tickets for Christmas in 93. And let's just say the Canucks game against LA was a Sunday. It was a noon game. And we're getting closer. Well, wouldn't you know it? Some guy named Wayne Gretzky was really close to 802, and he scored scored on the Thursday night instead of the Sunday, and I was stoked. I mean, obviously you don't want to see Wayne Gretzky score on your team, but at the same time, that goal you wanted to see Wayne. Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much. Just like look, this is literally $19. Come on.
Yeah. That's my ticket stub to that game.
That is so great. So I still hold that.
This must be why you're like forever partial to the skate jersey, right? I think.
Well, so. But Brian, you finish your story, and then I'll go into my
scored a hat trick on the Sunday, so it was all good. So.
It's funny. The skate blade. I have some very strange opinions about some very random things, and one of my beliefs is that sports logos should follow a certain rule, which is a fourth grader should be able to doodle it in the margins of their homework.
Well, the skate is impossible.
Exactly. And yet I still like it. It violates my one.
So does the Orca, if we're being honest.
The Orca is. Listen,
yeah, we agree.
I don't love it.
No, we don't either.
But the skate's fantastic. But yeah, impossible for a fourth grader to doodle in the margin of their homework. but
I mean, unless you're
still
really
very
good at doodling.
Well,
Yeah.
that was the Kings bow tie logo forever growing up, right? And it was just so easy to just jot down.
yeah,
Done.
bow tie logo. Interesting. We call it the Chevy, although
Well, Chevy bow tie, right?
technically I'm meant to call it the 90s Adidas era heritage. I can't remember the exact
Oh yeah.
phrase that I'm supposed
Would
to
you
call
say
it,
that
but
our logo is like a spin-off of the current Kings one? Or are you cool with it? It's not, and I'm not saying it is, but now I'm
your
looking
logo,
at,
the Canucks oh, the PP1 podcast.
yeah, I'm now looking
Listen,
and it kinda,
chevrons, that the technical name
that's a
for
thing.
that
That's a thing.
design, right? Yeah, it goes centuries old. So I don't think people can claim
Back
stuff
to the
that-
days of Romans.
Yeah, I don't think people can claim things that predate the printing press. So
That's true. Okay, I'll give you that. Ted, I mean, how do you feel? Like, this is now becoming a thing that could be reality in a few short weeks. And we've seen the Kings this season, and I still, like, it does worry me a little bit, knowing that this Canucks team is definitely starting to find its way again. They've lost a couple ones that I'm sure they'd like back. We all hate Dustin Brown. I do hate Dustin Brown for all there is, because we all thought he was coming to Vancouver on that one trade deadline, and then he won the
did
Stanley
you really?
Cup. There was a big rumor,
It
wasn't there?
was
Ted?
hot rumors for a bit that he was
Yeah.
gonna end up here
To Vank for what?
I don't know.
Wow.
It just
All right.
For Ballard, Raymond, and a third.
full circle. So yeah, how do you feel about Kings Canucks? Because
I mean, I just
don't know.
I think we've talked about it a little bit this whole episode. It's not even just Kings Canucks. It seems like Canucks anybody.
Mhm.
There's literally no gimme in the first round of the playoffs, right? Like, even like for the team that draws Vegas, who's largely been like playing 500 hockey for the past like 2 months now. So you get Vegas in round one as the number one seed, say. That's the defending Stanley Cup champion. I mean, whether you're rolling into the playoffs on a winning streak or you're limping in, when you have former Cup winners on your team, it's tough to play against, right? Like, those guys know what they're doing when shit hits the fan, so to speak, right? So yeah, LA's a scary team. It's kind of like Vancouver just historically has never matched up against these really defensive teams. And this isn't your typical Minnesota Wild 1-3-1 defense. Like, there's legit talented players that plays on the squad. Like, it's going to be tough to get around. It's going to be a really frustrating series, I think. And you know what, it was 2-1 versus the Flames this year so far. Could have very easily been 3 straight losses for Vancouver in these games. Like, I don't know. This is not a team I don't think any of us want to see play right off the bat, but unfortunately for us, they always turn out to be fun games to watch. Even if we're getting stomped in a 4-1 series. So it might just have to be the way things go, unfortunately. I think it's fine. I think it'll be a good series. It'll be fun to watch, but that's a scary team. When it's that well coached with that level of talent that plays a defensive style, that's a recipe for success if you're a Kings fan. So I would be afraid of it.
The hate in that last game definitely was starting to boil to the top, I think. And that's the beauty of something like that. If there was, one more, because I think they play LA one more time this season.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if there's a little bit of fireworks in that and they end up facing each other in the playoffs, you better believe everybody's going to remember what's going on. I did see.
Sorry, 1 second. How many players are left over from that Cup winning squad?
3. But
Kopitar, Doughty, and who's the third?
Trevor Lewis, but he
Lewis.
left and came back. So
Okay. So I mean, okay.
Sometimes you count those things. I mean, Corey Hergott, friend of the show, and this is a good question. I'm going to post this, and then we'll get into the jersey question again. Is anyone else expecting Joshua and Zadorov to have big playoffs? I feel like their physical play will ramp up and be a key to the team's success. I've been saying this. I think I said this on last week's show. I mean, Dakota Joshua is practicing with the Canucks in a contact jersey, if I'm not mistaken, today, which is awesome news. Zadorov has been, oh man, like he's been exciting to watch. He's mean, but he's got a smile on his face. Like, he knows his role. It's like the big version of Höglander almost.
It's like the good version of Trampkin.
Yeah, exactly. And I think both of those guys could be huge assets going into the playoffs. And likely, I mean, one was a reason that they thought they were going to go all the way in Zadorov. Like, that's why they got a guy like him, and he's finally, starting to pay dividends. And then Dakota Joshua has found money, and, now we realize his worth. And, now we get to have a fun little run with him before the playoffs start. So yeah, Corey, I think both of those guys are going to be phenomenal fits, and I don't see either of them necessarily taking over a series. I'd love to be wrong, but I do think that they're going to factor in a lot on important plays during whatever series they get to be a part of. Hopefully 4 of them if we're lucky.
Don't guys like Zadorov and Joshua have to have big series for Vancouver to get by LA? Like, this team seems light right now, especially in the forward ranks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we haven't seen it yet with Joshua, but I mean, we know obviously from, Kings' past success that heavy works in the playoffs, right? So
yeah, I think those are 2 guys that I mean, we've all been excited about for a little bit now. I think that's been fairly obvious as a Canucks fan base, and the fact that Joshua's been gone for as long as he's been. But I mean, Zadorov has definitely stepped up, and I mean, it doesn't hurt to have 4 defensemen that are 6'6" and above playing on your back end, and most of them are pretty mean about it too. So I mean, any NHL team would love to have those 4 players on their back end as far as height and physicality goes, because come the playoffs, like, whistles are going to go away. There's going to be stuff that's going to get missed. There's going to be all the dirty stuff, and you need players like that. I mean, geez, look at LA. They did a great job of it, with the Dustin Browns and the Doughties, and who else am I missing? You guys had some dirty players on that team, but they're
dirty in a good way. Dirty in a good way.
Dirty.
Ryan Kessler.
I beg your finest pardon.
Yeah. Listen, we didn't like them. We know. We
Dwight
know what
King, Jordan Nolan,
yeah,
Frazier, Brad Richardson.
That third line was just
Matt
tough.
Green.
Yeah, like even like the third and fourth line were just like their own in a bubble. Their own forces, right? Like those guys were all tough to play against. They knew their role. They did their job. Again, super well coached. It seems to be a theme in LA. Is there anybody on this current roster or a couple of players on this roster that you're really excited to see what they can do in the playoffs, and maybe you're expecting for their game to get ticked up a bit?
So the big question is going to be Pierre-Luc Dubois, obviously.
Yeah.
Particularly because of the return of Victor Arvidsson. Victor Arvidsson is a player that I am particularly fond of, and yet I constantly lose track of the fact that he is not large. I'll be watching practice and see him standing next to somebody and do a double take and be like, who the hell is that? And I go, right, it's Victor Arvidsson. He's not a large man, but he plays a large game. And so in a series where you say, as in the playoffs, heavy helps, him on a line with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Alex Laferriere, we've seen it for, I think 2 games or something now, maybe 1 or 2, since he's come back, maybe 3. I'm very curious to see what that'll be like in the playoffs. Alex Laferriere is a rookie, so very curious to see what he will look like in the playoffs. Also want to see what Jordan Spence looks like in the playoffs. Jordan Spence, another player I'm very fond of, but who is not large. Also the goaltenders. The talk going into the season was that the Kings are spending, out of 32 teams, 32nd in the league on goaltending contracts. That number shrank once Phoenix Copley was put on LTIR, and I'm blanking on his name. David Riddick was called. I remember the team's still paying the money, but as far as like cap space allocated towards goaltenders, we started out dead last in the league, and we're going to finish even lower than we did at the start, because Riddick is about, 55 to 60% of the cap hit of Phoenix Copley. So very curious to see what Cam Talbot and David Riddick can do in the playoffs. As far as guys that I'm like, oh yeah, that's a guy whose game always elevates in the playoffs. I mean, Drew Doughty, obviously. Yeah. I imagine we will get shame on me, Quentin Byfield.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Quentin there you Byfield. Go. That's the one name that I was actually kind of waiting for, but that's great. Big fan.
Yeah, shame on me for waiting so long to get to it. He's turned into an unreal player, and I can only imagine that as the intensity goes up, his game will go up, because he's now getting to a point where he's actually pushing people around. May not be the right word, but he's definitely aware of how large he is and how good he is, and he seems to be one of those players that actually enjoys not dirty play or physical play, but he enjoys physical,
yeah,
he'll throw an elbow here or there after the whistle, and he doesn't mind taking one back. He seems to enjoy it. So I'm very excited to see what he'll be like in the playoffs.
Like couple of points on those, because I love those takes, but the PLD one is going to be really interesting. I can't wait to see what happens there. The Byfield thing, I don't know, and I could be off base on this, but it reminds me of like Thornton's first couple of years in the league, where he was like there, he was around, he wasn't uber productive, and then it was like, I figured out that I'm huge and I can do whatever I want. And I see that in Byfield skating around. He just like sloughs guys off to the side and is like, get out of my way. That's what it seems like right now.
So Byfield, I was real, and I generally speaking, I don't pay a lot of attention to prospects, because as a Kings fan in the 90s, I was sold a bill of goods on all sorts of prospects that never cracked the league. And so I became very jaded and got a protective shell pretty early in life. And I was like, I don't care about prospects. Let me know when he's played his 100th game. We'll see what he is.
Yeah, we just trade ours away before they become prospects. Like, oh,
so did we for decades, right?
Yeah,
like I'm talking about guys like Matt Zoltak in the 90s who got drafted, never played a game, re-entered the draft. Anyway, so when we got Byfield, I was like, all right, well, let's, for professional reasons as well, I was like, all right, I'm going to cover the prospects. So got into Byfield's career, talked to the guys up in Sudbury a lot, watched him when he was in Ontario. And what I saw was a player whose learning curve, his development curve, was not a straight line up, right? You have some guys that hit the, Connor McDavid, everybody, there's that tweet that circulates around every time he does something good, where the guy saw him when he was 14 years old.
Like, I knew.
Yeah, he's already better than ever, right? So you go, okay, fine. Or Sidney Crosby hits the league, and you're like, all right, you're already done.
Yeah.
But Byfield, you could see, thank God this is on camera, I can kind of times the curve goes slowly at first and then tips up. So you could watch him in Ontario, the Ontario Reign, not Ontario, Canada. You could watch him learning.
Taylor Ward's team.
Yes, the Warden, that's right. You could see him learning how to play in front of the net. You could see him learning to put the puck past the goalie, using his size, using his reach. You could see the wheels turning. And then last season, he got put up with Kopitar and Kempe. And you saw the immediate improvement on that line. Kopitar and Kempe's game took off as soon as Byfield got put on that line. His numbers didn't take off, but Kopitar and Kempe's numbers did. And it was not a coincidence, and it was not a surprise to anybody paying attention. I was on it about, to just pat myself on the back here, about 2 weeks after he got put on that line. I was like, oh, this is something. This line is now dangerous, and it is 100% because he's going into the corners. He's winning the board battles. He's going to the front of the net. He's huge. He's fast. He's skilled. He makes Andrei Kopitar's life 1,000 times easier. Adrian Kempe's not alone anymore when it comes to having speed and size and grit in the corners. And then this season, I think he has right now 19 goals and 33 assists, I want to say. I pegged him for 20 and 60 at the start of the season. I'm hoping he hits them. But he's that learning curve has started going up, and I don't see any reason that it'll slow down.
Yeah. I think anybody in the NHL would have liked to have Quentin Byfield when he got drafted, because I think it was the potential. Like if you had a shot at him, you were pretty excited. Like you were. I mean, at the time, it was something I think in Canada anyway. He was again one of those prospects where we're thinking like, well, I think a lot of people thought he couldn't miss, but I mean, some of these guys do take time to. I mean, everyone crapped on Steven Stamkos to start his career.
Do you remember that? Do you remember him saying, "It's a Butch, it's a Cassidy"? I can't remember. No.
Yeah.
Bruce Cassidy. I don't know. Something basically saying like he's a young guy, he's got to pay his dues. Do you remember this bullshit? And like just chalking him down on like the third and fourth line to play with scrubs in Tampa when it was scrubs in Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just I don't know, just craziness like
you
that.
See these guys
that quickly went away. That old mentality, just hilarious.
There's a reason they're that good. So if you get them in the right opportunity to shine, like, and there's some of these late bloomers too, like some of these guys that maybe don't work out until like 24, 25, 26, and then like I mean Todd Bertuzzi was a real slow burn, and this is a way back, but I mean. He wasn't the Todd Bertuzzi that we all got excited about. Marcus Naslund wasn't an absolute stud. I mean, he was showing like the smallest signs of brilliance, and then eventually just blew up. Like sometimes guys just find their own. Like later in
Hyman just scored 50 as a 31-year-old. I'm told by the media,
and everyone
the way she goes.
His parents are apparently rich or something. I don't even get what that is. Now, before we get in any further, I've got a question for you because again, you cover the Kings. I have this photo queued up here. I don't know if this guy's a season ticket holder. I'm assuming he is. And then I want to get into like, what's your like top 3 holy grail of Kings jerseys? First of all, do you know I've nicknamed him because the 2 times I've been to Kings games he's been there. I call him Snuffleupagus. Do you know who this guy is?
I don't.
Ah, dang it.
Sorry.
I've
never seen that man before in my life. I feel like a bad fan.
He's got the Rogie Vachon, the old yellow jersey. Anyway, I took a picture of him when I was in LA at a game. So Jesse, like the Kings have some pretty cool jerseys, silver and black. I mean, that's pretty neat. It's very much on the rise of when I'm sure the Raiders were there. I think there's a story about all that. But like, what is your like? Is the Burger King at the top of your list? Like, what's your big 3? What?
My number 1 is the Reverse Retro 2.0.
Okay.
I don't think there's
was that the like bright white one, I think, or bright black or whatever?
No, it was white with
white gloves,
white shell, purple shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Original crown. I don't think there's a more perfect hockey jersey in existence than that one. Personally, that is my all-time favorite. After that, I would say probably the 92-93 home whites with the, as you guys called it, I think the bow tie logo.
The Chevy bow tie, yeah.
Those are his words, not mine.
I have very strong feelings about jersey design. In general, I believe that if you're going to have 3 stripes on your sleeve, right, at the elbow, that you should have 3 stripes at your waist. They should be the same. If you're going to do the shoulder,
3 stripes on your sock, yeah.
Symmetry.
Yeah, and it should be the same. And the numbers should be in the stripe, not above it. I can't stand it that it's above it. We do it. Don't like the piping. When Reebok took over and changed every team's jersey design, terrible as far as I'm concerned. Just terrible.
Not true. Did you see Vancouver over in Orca?
Awful.
Genius idea.
Totally awful. And also moving the captain's letters on the Red Wings jerseys to the wrong side because they shrunk the whole thing and the logo tip of the wing. Just
that was the intro to the Reebok jersey. I think.
Just awful. Just awful.
Yeah.
So for me, the top 3 Kings is, like I said, the Reverse Retro 2.0, the 92-93 home whites, and then I guess if I have to pick a third one, probably Reverse Retro 1, which was the purple, with the white bow tie logo on the front.
I like the one against Vancouver in our 40th, so 2011 or 2010-2011, the OG purple.
Yes,
the purple crown.
Yeah. I don't let that crown, to me, is a little too busy.
Do we have where does do we have a bottom 3? And I want to hear I want to hear thoughts on the silver helmet.
Sure. I got a bottom 3 for it. I thought the 50th anniversary jersey was hideous.
Oh, okay.
I think mixing gold and silver is a terrible idea. So to have a silver, I mean, it was gray, but to have a silver jersey with silver highlights and then a gold tinted, highlighted logo, I was like, what are you doing? I did not like the subsequent version of that one where they changed the gold to white. I thought it was an incredible improvement, but I don't like gray. And there's something, I don't know how old you guys are, but you look like you're younger than me. There's something there's something about the generation that's 10 years younger than me that loves the color gray, and I don't get it. I think gray is stupid, boring, and ugly, and Vegas is insane for draping their entire organization in it.
I had a conversation with a guy who worked in Oregon for the Ducks, and his thing was like, because Nike is working on so many jerseys in the NCAA and there's so many teams in the NCAA, and having extra jerseys became such a thing. The complement color for a team that only had 2 colors always became gray. So you'd see like the Oregon Beavers or whoever else. So it always just became gray. And so that almost, as he said,
did you guys like the Team North America jerseys?
No, I hated the whole idea of that whole tournament, to be honest.
Sure, but the jerseys themselves were just like, they were a 90s Dorito bag. It was like, let's just make it extreme. So that's how I'm like.
Kids want extreme. They're like, we could chug up Red Bulls, Monster Energy drink.
Right,
those were this year's All-Star jerseys, right? The Cool Ranch, the spicy nacho, the cheese.
Kids don't know from nothing. Like, why are we designing anything around what kids want? Kids like I understand it's because marketing, because when you're an older adult, you've already established your brand preferences, and so marketing isn't likely to impact you, and so you got to get them when they're young, so you can build them into the blah 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 blah. But kids like ketchup on steak. Why am I? Who cares? So if I had to pick a
Rob
third,
Fay likes it on French toast. He's a freak.
excuse me.
Yeah, that's. We'll find you that tweet, and
right.
he knows what he's doing. But it's
yeah, that's like a troll move. As far as third least favorite Kings jersey, I just really didn't like the gray ones. Gray is too. Oh, you know what? The first outdoor game.
Okay.
There's more gray, and they had those reflective logos.
Right.
They were supposed to be
the vinyl logos. I remember that. I forgot about that.
Any jersey that's gray with some black on it to me is just boring. Doesn't matter what.
The Kings like sneak in there with like a low-key ridiculous amount of jerseys now that we're talking about it.
We've got a lot,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember which one that was. Kings.
And silver helmets. And I don't know if you saw the Canucks electric blue helmets. Thoughts on those?
I did. I really like the Canucks ones. I go back and forth on the Kings silver chrome ones. Some days I love them. Some days I'm like, all right, enough of these.
I remember the outdoor, the LA. Those were cool.
The Colorado outdoor game?
I think so. With the big LA?
Yeah.
Those are kind of fun. Yeah. I mean, again, I wouldn't, wouldn't be one of my dying requests to own one, but that's.
Yeah. What I really like about the current third jerseys that we wear is the white gloves. That's my personal. But the Canucks blue chrome helmet, the Canucks have the helmet game figured out. The matte black helmets and the chrome blue.
Oh, it looks so good.
Yeah,
I think that's by far my favorite setup in the league. Just because, and I think it's the matte helmets. It just does it for me. I don't know what the deal is.
Like one of the players for the LA Kings drives a luxury car that is matte black, and every time I walk past it, I'm not going to tell you who it is or what model of car it is, but every time I walk past it, I just go, man, that's a nice looking car.
Damn. Yeah, I saw just a little while back somebody
with the tint and all that too. Is that
somebody had redone like a 69 Mustang in that matte black who was driving through my neighborhood, and I just like could not stop gawking. It just looks so good.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
Ted, do you got it queued up for me?
Do I got what queued up for you?
Are we gonna get into our final part of the show?
Like a top 5?
That's kind of what I was.
Yeah, it's your turn though.
What? No, I did last week.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
With Shap, I thought.
No, I did last week.
Well, I don't have a top 5 queued up, so you're gonna have to come up with something.
Oh, frick. Okay. First of all, well, obviously we got to play the clip first.
Top five.
Top 5 jerseys that aren't your team's jersey.
Okay, we've kind of done that, but I'm gonna allow it.
Okay,
I'm gonna allow it. So this is gonna be tough because we got 3 people. Crap. Okay. Jesse, you get to go first. I gotta.
Can I pick jerseys for teams that don't exist anymore?
You can do. We have a rule.
You're a guest here. You can do whatever you want.
We have a rule in our show. There are no rules.
All right,
you're a grown ass man. You can pick whatever jersey you want.
Then the Quebec Nordiques.
That's fine.
So Jesse's got the Nordiques. I believe someone's going to pick the Whalers, but it's not going to be me.
Whalers, great logo, ugly jersey.
Yeah.
Something about that green. I don't know what the deal is. Because green looks good on other jerseys. It doesn't happen to look good on that one for some reason. I don't know why.
So I'm going to pick one. This is kind of a weird one. The Flyers, like the neon orange with the silvery kind of logo and the white name bar on the back when they first launched those guys out. I don't know why I like them so much, and I hate the Flyers, but my cousin's a huge Flyers fan. But I do actually no, I take that back. Not that one. The one with the true silver logo. I guess that would be their second, third, or whatever, when they had like the silver inside of the P on the orange jersey.
Okay.
I think it was a darker orange, or was it black? I can't even remember. But I like the silver P. That was cool.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with Flyers silver. Let's call it.
A Flyers silver. I'm going to go. I'll go with the baby blue Pittsburgh jerseys from the Winter Classic. I thought those jerseys were fire. I don't see much of that stuff going around. Baby blue is not a traditional color in the NHL. And then when you add the yellow from the Penguins logo in there, I think it just looked really good. So I was a big fan of those jerseys. I think they did it right.
That was fun. And the fact that they won and we sold a ton of those jerseys, that was great. Those are good days. Those were good days. Jesse, who's your number 2?
The 92-93 Ottawa Senators.
Oh, the OG.
Those are
wow.
Those are fantastic.
We'll give you a free turtleneck if you want to.
I'm not a huge Alexei Yashin fan. Those jerseys, I own one, a Bob Kudelski.
Oh boy,
Ottawa Senators jersey, because most of my dad's family's in Ottawa. Love those jerseys. Love that whole getup.
I'm gonna go with, now I know even a lot of this team's fan base doesn't like it, but I do think they're super cool. The Winter Classic jersey for someone's Seattle Kraken. I think that is a sharp jersey. I get the nostalgia of it. Personally, I mean, if you got to know me, I'm a little bit off the radar for most things. I think that is a cool looking jersey. So I'm going to say Kraken Winter Classic if we're sticking with the Winter Classic theme here. Ted?
Yeah, that's a fun one. I'm gonna go back a little bit and just the classic royal blue and yellow in the what would have been the home jersey back in the 90s, but the old Buffalo jersey was kind of like where it was at for me back then. I still think that's a classy jersey now. I think that when you watch Buffalo play, those jerseys look really good. So I think I would take that older Sabres style jersey for me.
Interesting. Sabres. Okay. I'm making some way here. Sabres, OG. Jesse, you're back on the clock, my friend.
Can I go outside the NHL?
You can do whatever. You can pick
It's your show, man.
You can pick the Malmac.
The Savannah Ghost Pirates.
Oh, geez.
Say that one more time for the listeners at home.
The Savannah Ghost Pirates. It's an ECHL.
Savannah Oat Milkers.
Yeah, that's right.
I love the logo. I love the colors. I love the jerseys. And I love the fact that they never resolved whether or not it's ghosts of deceased pirates or ghosts that have decided to become pirates.
Okay. I'm Googling this here.
It's just great.
Oh, man, that's pretty cool. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm on board. And the neon green in there. Mm-hmm. Oh, they got like a real neon green one. Geez, you could see that down the highway. Ooh, the lolly. That's a pretty good one. Ghost Pirates, hell yeah. You know what? But they're our team. I was going to say the OG Rockets jersey, but that is our team, so I can't pick that. Oh man, hockey's a tough one. There's like a billion jerseys. You know what? And I'm going to say it. You are on the show, but when they released the white Kings jersey, the newish version that they wear after the black one. Remember when it was teased, Luc Robitaille did like the worst reveal from like a hallway or something there's like a tweeted like camera phone photo. And this almost feels like like some of the smartphones anyway. And everybody's like, oh, like that's it. I thought the white was super cool because it was kind of the nod to the old look. And I knew it was going to catch fire. And I still think it looks really good. And I would say that if you're not here, because I still think the Kings have some pretty awesome looking jerseys. It just sucks that it's.
Speaking of which, sorry, I'm just backtracking about 10 minutes here. I never liked the 99 to 2008-ish era jerseys with the shield on the front and Los Angeles written around across the bottom of the hem.
Those are awful.
Even though I have 2 posters up at my office of Kings wearing those jerseys, miss me with that whole decade of jerseys. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fair. I think everyone agrees with you. That was when the Canucks
people do not agree with me. It's unfortunate.
Oh, they don't. They like that jersey?
There's a lot of people that really love it.
It's too busy.
It's insane. The lion has sunglasses. It's got a sun. It's got a crown. It's got the shield. There was a whole thing about the Gretzky statue, and they changed the crown to the shield. Players started getting hurt. It was like the curse of removing the shield. It was a whole thing.
Checks out.
Not great. Anyway, sorry.
Ted, who's your third one?
I'll go. I guess it was. I don't know the date. I want to say like early, like maybe around 2006 or so, 2007, when that first wave of Reebok third jerseys came out, and it would have been the Minnesota green one with the cream coloring bands on it in Minnesota written sideways up it. And if you looked at the actual logo, it was like done in this sort of weird textured felt as well. And so I think that was just a really classic looking jersey. It was like a complete separation from anything else that was going on in the league at the time. But yeah, I was a big fan of those.
That was the All-Star jerseys that year too, I think, right?
The
East-West kind of.
Was it? I can't remember.
Yeah,
but that was even the numbers. Like when it was kitted up, the numbers on the back were done in that sort of felt material as well. It was just something completely different. Those are really classy looking jerseys.
Okay, so Jesse, you're going to be up, and I swear, if you take this one, I'm going to get on that plane, and I'm going to come and punch you if you take what I.
There is no chance you have ever heard of the team I'm about to pick.
Oh, okay, this is great.
And I want to be very clear about this: not the black jersey, the white jersey. For the Long Beach Shredders.
Does it pay a nod to the Ninja Turtle Shredders?
No.
Oh, that sucks. Okay. We're looking Long Beach.
You're going to have to look for a little bit because there's tons of pictures of them in the black top and the white shorts. Not a fan of that combo.
Yeah,
but
I'm
the
seeing
white
it.
jersey
It's good looking.
Oh, man.
Colors,
holy, that is
huge fan of that look.
That is all kinds of my style personally. Yeah, I could get behind that.
Oh, that's a Ryan jersey.
That is a Ryan jersey if ever there was one.
Now, full disclosure, a lot of this is because I grew up and lived in Long Beach for most of my life. So anything Long Beach automatically gets a big W from me, but I genuinely adore that whole look. Now, not a big fan of white shorts with a black jersey like they've got, but the full white kit, whatever you want to call it, big fan.
Yeah, I'm sure we could have a colorway of that, the Long Beach. That is freaking amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good looking.
So I'm going to be around those same parts, but the opposite side of the country. The Orlando Solar Bears.
Bears. Yeah, there we go.
What's the phrase? Same script, different font or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Same poop, different pile.
Yeah. I what's not to like, really? It's Polar Bear. He's playing hockey. Nothing makes sense. It's great. Ted, who do you got?
I'll go. I believe it's a Winter Classic jersey again. I'm going to go back to Detroit. They threw that vintage winged wheel in there with replaced the white with that cream felt again, and then Detroit written across the top of the winged wheel. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Did they wear that for any of their other Winter Classics? I can't
remember. I feel like they were in too many to start with, but I think it was just seeing. I can't remember who. I think it was Howard back then was playing in goal, and he had that complete like old school brown pad setup, and it just looked phenomenal. So it's kind of an old school looking jersey, but yeah, big fan of that one.
Okay, I'm a big fan of where you're going here. So Jesse, who do you got? I just had like a hiccup and a burp at the same time.
A hiccup burp. As an inaugural season ticket holder of this team, as somebody who worked security for this team, as somebody who spent most of his life in this town, RIP and love forever to the Long Beach Ice Dogs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They played, if I remember correctly, they played in 3 different leagues, the IHL, the ECHL, and the WCHL. They were in the WCHL when it stood for the West Coast Hockey League. It was then merged into the ECHL. That's when the ECHL stopped being an acronym for the East Coast Hockey League and just became the ECHL. It doesn't stand for anything anymore. But yeah, the Long Beach Ice Dogs. Home, away, third, whatever. Love the Ice Dogs.
That is a pretty cool jersey. I don't know. This isn't my favorite, but for the sake of this show, and at some point we would have to end it. Was it the Brampton Battalion? That was Cody Hodson's team, the green one.
Great jersey.
That was pretty
like
neat.
the Army man on the front of it?
Yeah, he had like was it a beret? He had a beret on it, I think. And that, like angry look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, we're definitely not even close to the NHL at this point, but I don't know. I think it's neat, and especially the Army green that they went with. I mean, definitely an underused color in the hockey world. So they made it work, and it was pretty rad, and they did pretty good in that jersey. So I think that was even my 5th one. So Ted, you get to close it out here, man.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the baby blues for this one. And I don't even know. I guess I have a thing for baby blue. I didn't even know it. But I'm going to go with the Atlanta Thrashers 3rd baby blue jersey with the arm. I get a lot of flack for this one. The one blue arm where Atlanta's written down the side. Yeah. I just thought that was just so unique looking. And I feel like maybe 10 years from now, somebody brings that back as a retro style and people will it'll be a thing again.
It's so funny because I think for the longest time, a lot of people didn't realize that the striping didn't go down both sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you pointed it out the first time, it's like, hey, did you know that the Hartford Whalers logo has actually got an H and a, like, what? Like or the Expos, the ELB, or like all those kind of things. It just messed people up so bad.
Or the baseball glove in the Milwaukee Brewers is an M and a B.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's all these that just
Hartford Whalers is an H and a W.
Yeah.
I already said that one.
That was the point.
Hey.
But I mean, hockey jerseys are pretty hard to ruin. But somehow St. Louis manages to do it every time.
The three trumpets.
Just everything they've ever done. They can't seem to.
I think that the super plain, like just solid yellow, solid blue in that in the lighter blue, I think that one looked good. I think out of all of them, that's probably my favorite set of jerseys, and it's still not a great jersey.
Yeah, it's whatever. I mean, who cares about St. Louis, honestly? We got good barbecue. That's about it.
I do. I can't stand
them. On that note, because for two reasons. One, we do have to let Jesse go because he's given us plenty of his time. Two, my car is still at work because there's a police incident that I had to leave it there. So in the next 10 minutes, I will be vacating my basement, my own, not my parents'. To go get my car back. So
way to preface.
You didn't even let me rip off my two hottest takes.
Well, let's have them.
Like, I'm not kicking you out. I'm just saying.
Nobody likes avocados, and they should get rid of the draft.
That's all. Oh shoot! And I was gonna
get rid of the draft.
Here's the thing: we will go.
We need 4 to 5 more minutes at least.
I was gonna say
I need to understand this.
He prefaced this.
I've heard get rid of anything after round 3 of the draft. I've heard I've heard only in 2 rounds, but you want it gone?
He's coming in hot. We're going to give you the floor until you'd like.
And avocados?
Well, the avocados one is just simple. You don't like avocados.
I don't?
No, nobody does.
I mean, I like
mashed potatoes. Avocados are just like mashed
When was the last time you ate an avocado without anything added to it? Avocados are a delivery system, not a primary.
So avocados, Jesse he's preaching right now, and I'm picking it up because that just makes them the same as potatoes. Potatoes are nothing; they're just a vessel for a bunch of shit to put in
for
there.
Salt, for butter, for ketchup, for whatever you want. Cheese, chives, sour cream.
Best way to eat them is just throw them in the garbage.
Calm down here with the potato slander. I'm just saying nobody's favorite food is potato. If potatoes are your favorite food is salt or butter or cheese or whatever. I've never seen a human being in my life walking around with an avocado in one hand, slice off a chunk of it, and then just gunk it straight down. No, you mash it into something with a million other ingredients. You put it on toast. You put it, you sprinkle salt on it. People, I love some avocado with salt on it. I go, no, you just like salt. We all like salt.
I need to mash up these potatoes and quickly put some avocado in there for flavor.
No, mashed potatoes is just salt and butter. And
I'm
no mystery to why people like it.
Yeah,
all
this
right.
guy.
Let's get to your draft.
This guy, I big fan right here.
Good. Getting rid of the draft
we're coming to blows here.
Your team just had a little hissy fit about the Kings not playing real hockey or whatever. But you know who's really not playing hockey right now? It's not the LA Kings. It's the Anaheim Ducks, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Columbus Blue Jackets, the Ottawa Senators, the San Jose Sharks. Those teams haven't
10 years.
Those teams haven't been playing hockey for most of the season, and we're just fine with it because we have figured out a way to produce a TV show and a cottage industry of people who cover prospect news. Make it sort of fun for you to go, well, my team stinks today, but the Athletic said I have a top 5 prospect pool. So I can now feel good about investing a bunch of time and energy into a franchise that isn't trying to win. And we're still going to charge full price for the tickets. We're still going to earn our money off of the merchandise deals and the parking and the all concessions and all that. And then at the end of the day, how many guys in a draft year really matter? 10? Maybe?
Maybe.
And how many of those guys are actually top 10 picks? How many of those guys are, third round guys that showed up and were fantastic? How many guys taken in the first round have to get yo-yoed around by their club for years have fans trash them. You were drafted in this position and you're not living up to your blah, 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 blah. Who cares? Get rid of the draft. They're 18 years old. They're adults. They can sign their contracts if they want to. And everybody always cries and screams and says, well, then everyone's going to go to Toronto. Everyone's going to go to where here, there, the other place. But I understand that that's what people think will happen. I do not think it will happen for a number of different reasons. Primarily, these players will care about their careers. So Johnny Gaudreau did not sign with the Columbus Blue Jackets because he liked the real estate market in Columbus, because he thought the roster was really well set, because he liked the management group or thought that they blah, blah, blah. He signed there because he wanted out of Calgary, and there was one market left that had the cap space and the minutes to give him a chance to maximize his career earnings. So he went there.
I heard it because he was a Browns fan. That's what I heard.
I mean, listen, I don't want to speak for Johnny Gaudreau. Maybe he went there for different reasons, but that's the one that makes the most amount of sense. Occam's razor says that's why he went there.
The schools are really nice there.
Maybe he just really likes college football.
Yeah.
If you were Connor Bedard, you would sign in Chicago, not because it's the Blackhawks, not because you have any sort of romantic feelings about the organization, but because they don't have anybody on their cap eating up money. They don't have anybody that plays your position eating up minutes. You're going to get to go there. You're going to play as much as you want. They're going to build around you. And then the next guy, who's the guy this year?
Celebrini.
Thank you. Celebrini. You know where he would absolutely not go if he were free to sign with? Yeah, right. Because why is he going to fight for ice time? He's not going to Anaheim. He's not going to try and beat out Leo Carlsson for ice time. He's not going to go to Columbus. He's not going to try and beat out Fantilli. He's not going to go to Pittsburgh, right? Who has a bunch of, he's not going to Edmonton. He's not going to LA, who's got guys down the center. But Celebrini's the center, right? Before I start shooting myself in the foot with this argument.
I don't think it matters. It makes sense what you're saying.
But you get my point, right? Like, you're not going to go somewhere where you're blocked. You're going to go somewhere where you get as many minutes as possible to a team that has the commitment, the minutes, the money to give to you, because you have at best 20 years to maximize your earnings. So this notion that guys are just going to line up to sign with Toronto, New York, and LA and get underpaid for the first 5 years of their career in the hopes that one day, oh, well, maybe Connor McDavid will time out and I'll step into his number one spot. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, good luck.
And then, again, it's only 2 or 3 guys a year that are even at that status. The rest of them, second rounders, third rounders, fourth rounders, fifth rounders, these are guys that get drafted and then the team controls their rights, right? Then there's the whole qualification, the qualifying offers. Let these guys, you have guys getting yanked up and down, and you can't join the league. You can't turn pro until you're a certain age, and the team owns your rights. Then you get traded, and you sign an ELC. Like, nonsense. These are human beings. Let them sign. And if a player doesn't believe in a third rounder, fourth rounder, fifth rounder, they won't sign him. I mean, that's ultimately the end result, is that most guys won't sign contracts until they're 24, 25, 26. They'll bounce around junior.
You'd let them all sign contracts then? Like, there would be...
Yeah. You're 18 years old, do whatever you want.
Or whatever, and everybody else, or do you just no draft at all, and it's just like sign where you want?
Zero draft, sign where you want. I think you probably have to shrink the number of contracts that teams can carry, maybe from 50 down to 40.
Do you have to shrink the number of teams that play in the NHL? Because, I'm just going to say this. I'm sure somebody's listening from Edmonton or Winnipeg or Calgary. Like, who wants to go to Edmonton, on purpose?
Oh, who wants to go to Columbus on purpose?
Well, they're a great connection city to somewhere else.
I mean,
here's the other thing.
Edmonton is like the cold north, right?
Everybody says that, right? But what happens when let's say Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup this year?
Right.
Terrible tournament.
You know what? It's a fictional world we could live in. Go for it.
People will want to play there.
Sure.
And if Edmonton actually proved themselves a competent franchise, and I'm not suggesting that they're not, but if they proved time and time again that they had an excellent scouting staff, that they made the right decisions, that they had a reliable track record of converting signed young adults into professional hockey players, people would want to go there. What happens now is you get drafted to a team you don't want to play for. If you have the fortune of being born in the States, you go to college for a couple of years until you finally tell the team that drafted you don't want to play for them. Then some reporter outs you. Then John Tortorella, says some stuff, and it becomes a whole thing. Or if you were born in Europe, you have to wait a couple of years. If you were born in Canada, you go play in the CHL and get exploited for teams that draw less fans than the AHL franchises. The whole system is it's backwards and wrong, and it needs to change. That's my hot take.
There you go.
And nobody likes avocados.
Wow,
More importantly,
you got two things going for you. That's for sure. I mean, like I said, I feel
there was a number of reasons why I thought you were going to say screw the draft, but I didn't think it was going to be centered around like selling the fans like some sort of false hope. So hey, kudos to you. That was a good take.
That's where it started.
That was fun.
The older I've gotten, it also is now just a labor thing. Like, I think it's absurd. I think trades are absurd too. Like, you sign a contract with a franchise in good faith, and then we've decided that it's like, well, you make enough money and you're a celebrity, so we can just uproot you and treat you like chattel. And boo-hoo, they make so much money. Is the argument I always hear. And it's like, well, yeah. I'm sorry. Sorry, you triggered me.
No, keep going. It's like NFL guaranteed money. I get it.
Imagine if you signed a contract with an organization for whatever reason, right? However you felt about it, you signed that with that organization, and then you got traded to an organization like Chicago in the midst of their drama surrounding what happened, right? Imagine if you felt some sort of way about that, and now you're working there.
Yeah, I think this is a good point. You work for the Kings. Could you imagine you being uprooted and told you had to go to Columbus?
No.
That'd be awful.
I mean, I know that the typical answer from a hockey player is this is the business, but yeah, it makes sense for a regular person.
If you were building a league from the ground up today, and the players had the same bargaining power that they do now in the formation and creation of the leagues, drafts, trades, I believe all
3-year contracts, guaranteed money,
all that. Anyway, sorry, I've taken up enough of your time with my
dude. I really
good. Stop apologizing. You're good. This is fun.
I like Jesse. I like him a lot, and I won't fanboy too hard on him because
you want to talk about Star Wars next?
He watched the show last week, obviously.
Trades allow for job security in a way, though. Otherwise, contracts would be a lot shorter.
See, I think contracts.
So what?
But from a dollars and cents point, I guess that makes sense.
3 years, 3 years max out contracts. That's
I don't. First of all, I don't necessarily believe that's true, Spider Soul. I'd have to think about it. But even if it was, I'm not sure why that's necessarily important.
But there's a whole system in there. I mean, I think that's a way bigger conversation. Here's the thing. Let's call it what it is. First of all, this has been an awesome show. I'm so happy we have been formally introduced, and I think if the Canucks play the Kings during the playoffs, we're gonna absolutely have to do this again. Maybe once a game.
Maybe we have to fly down to LA.
Maybe we do a post-game show. Yeah. Let's.
I don't know if I have enough credits for that.
Let's not put all the money in one basket because I don't have enough of it. So, but Jesse, this has been an absolute pleasure to have you on. It's nice to talk to another fan base that, as a Canucks fan base, as you said, like we're pretty intriguing. It's there's a lot going on as Canucks Twitter and all that sort of stuff, but I think the real ones know that it's nice to have another opinion and another perspective as well. And I mean, things are getting fun right now. I mean, the Canucks are actually a fun team to watch. The Kings are a team that I do not want to watch because they scare us a little bit. And at the end of the day, I think we're all talking hockey. We're having a good time. So, Jesse, like I said, thank you so much for coming on our show. This has been awesome. And I hope and I don't hope that we can be chatting during the playoffs when the Canucks play LA. But I mean, if that happens, it's going to be a good couple of weeks. That's for sure.
I know you're wrapping up. And one of my biggest pet peeves as a host is when I'm trying to wrap up and the guest is like, no, one more thing, but I'm going to do it to you.
Fire away, man.
Just to get sentimental for a second, the number of people that made themselves available to me when I asked them when I was starting out, people that I thought would never say yes. And they always did. Jim Fox, Dennis Bernstein, Patrick O'Neill. Anytime I asked, they were available. And so I have tried to maintain that attitude moving forward. If somebody wants me on their show, I will say yes.
That's right.
Paying it forward for the little guy.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. Well,
not to imply that you guys are the little guy, but
we are just
saying. If you ask me, I will say yes.
Yeah, just don't ask him for mashed potatoes or avocados.
I like mashed potatoes. I like salt and butter, so I like mashed potatoes.
That's wicked. On behalf of Ted, new friend Jesse from All the Kingsmen podcast and the LA Kings, technically, which he'll humble brag if you give him one more opportunity. I am Ryan. This is the PP1 podcast. We're on the Hockey Podcast Network as well, partnered with DraftKings promo code THPN. I told you about that in the podcast version of the show. Go Canucks, go. We got Dak Joe back tomorrow, it looks like. I cannot wait. Playoffs are coming. Get your pre-sale for playoff tickets. Can't believe we're talking about playoffs for the Vancouver Canucks.
Let's wrap up the West first. How about that?
And maybe the LA Kings. Yeah, let's wrap up the West. Have a great one, folks. Peace out.